Good morning, everyone. So today we'll be dealing with the final topic of unit number 2. That's resume writing along with cover letters. So unit 2, technical writing, resume writing and cover letter. Can we have the opening remarks, please?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn resume writing. Resume writing is a written summary of our work experience, qualification, and projects we have done in our engineering. And we all know that it is very important because in every interview we need to submit resume or resume.
Thank you for the opening remarks. So, as it's written, you never get a second chance to create your first impression. And your resume would be your first impression with your potential employer. Right? So, how do you make it, or how do you include things that can highlight your strengths, highlight the key uh, skills that you have? Right? So, resume is a written documentation which helps you connect with your future employer for the very first time. So, how do we do it? See, remember one or two things. Sometimes there are words which we take like biodata to be equivalent to resume. Remember, your biodata is not equivalent to your resume. It is similar kind of a document, but the purpose is different. The why part. See, whenever we have been talking about writing anything technically, we have always considered the why. Why am I writing the document, right? So remember, resume writing or CV writing or curriculum vitae writing is for the purpose of employment, that is getting yourself a job. Whereas a biodata is meant for matrimony. So do not replace the vocabulary with each other. They look similar, but they are not synonyms. Remember, they look similar, but they are not synonyms. So biodata is meant for matrimonial purposes, whereas a resume, a CV, or a curriculum vitae, CV, the full form is curriculum vitae, these things are meant for employment. They are two different things, right? They might look similar, they may have information which is similar, but they are for different purposes. Okay. So why do you need a resume? You cannot sing and tell everybody the skills that you possess. So your resume actually is a marketing tool. It is a tool to market your skills, highlight your skills. It actually is a way to obtain an interview, not a job. Remember, if you give your resume, you get the job is not the case. You give your resume, you might get the job, you might not get the job, but you will land with a potential interview, a PR, a personal interview, right? And though I have written here many organizations, but each and every organization requires you to write a CV. Why? Since we have started unit number 2, technical writing, we have been talking about being precise, being clean, being clear, right? So, how do I check that the future employer, the future employee, whom I'm going to employ, who's going to work for my organization, I'm going to pay him or her a certain amount at the end of the month after 31 days or 30 days. Is the money that I'm investing, is it appropriate? Am I appropriately investing my amount? Am I investing after the correct person? Am I investing in the person who would bring progress not only to himself and herself but also to the organization? That is why resumes have now become an inevitable part of the interview process. Now, see, again, some of you might be thinking, ma'am, we don't want to do a job, we want to do business. So remember, it's actually like the two sides of a coin. Even if you wish to be like, it's like you are sitting on the either side of the table. Either you are going to employ somebody, or you are going to be employed by somebody. In both the cases, you need to have a thorough information about these things. Why? One, if you wish to land into a good job, you need to have a nice resume. If you wish to employ good people with your organization, for your company, then you need to scrutinize the resume. In that case, you need to know which is good, which is better, which is best, right? So it's actually flipping the two sides of the coin, right? I don't want to do a job, I don't need the knowledge of resume. No, it's not this, not that case. You require it because you have to select somebody, right? You'll not be doing a business alone, you'll not be running a company alone. Even if you have a staff of one person, out of so many available options, you have to select someone, right? So this is helpful in that way as well. Now, what are the elements of a resume writing? What elements do you require? What things should be there? So, first, personal information. In your personal information, you require your name, your permanent and present address, your email address, your contact number. In case you have a website, or you have been working on certain things, like some of the students when they apply for jobs such as content writing, they would be running their own blogs, they would be running their own websites, they would be working on things, right? So that you can display here. And your birth date if required. Certain, see why if required over here for the birth date part. See, they are not going to celebrate your birthday, right? Why? Because certain job posts would have an age limit. How do you prove your age? By writing your birth date. Remember, certain job posts require an age limit. Let's say if it is a government job, they'll say not above 30. So how do you prove? In the resume, you cannot have your birth certificate, right? So you write your birth date. In case if you are asked, then you can produce your birth certificate, or you can produce any other government document that shows your age. Let's say the driving license would show your age, right? So that's why if required. Now this portion, why it is if required, is not every job would require it. Private organizations don't require the date. They do not have an age limit. Whereas certain government sectors do have an age limit, right? So if these are few changes, you cannot have the same resume given to every employer, every potential employer. You have to make certain changes according to it. But the above information, apart from the birth date, is the information that has to be there in any resume that you make. Right? Now, when you write your name, you have to write your name, for your first name, your middle name, and then your surname. Follow the order: your first name, your middle name, and your surname. Also, in the permanent address, remember, technical documents should carry the PIN code and the city. Do not forget the PIN code and the city. Now, email address. You cannot write any email address over here, right? Because some of us have a habit of writing different kinds of emails. This email address that you provide over here should be of very professional nature. The professional nature, what I mean is, it should not sound, uh, you know, uh, not childish, but it should sound professional. Let's say we take the email IDs of our university. They sound quite professional. If you say, take my email ID, it's my name, then a full stop, and then my surname, and then @ Marwadi Education. Sounds very nice. You cannot have email IDs with, different kinds of digits. Now, some of the people do have this habit of having my lucky number with my email, right? Let's say 157. Does not look that good. I know the availability of names in the email. You cannot have long digits. Maybe 2 digit or 3 digit is what we can have, but it should sound quite professional. It should sound quite formal, right? Uh, let's say some of you might write, uh, let's say you have a pet name at home and you have your pet name in your email ID. You cannot have that one. Let's say if there's somebody whose name is Hiral, the official name on the document is Hiral, and the pet name is Dolly. You cannot have dolly@gmail.com. What I'm trying to say, your name and your email should match. Your name and your email should match, and provide an email which you check. We might have, in our early days, we were fascinated to make an email account. We have made an email account, but we hardly check that one. Now we check some other email account, right? So when I say you check, I mean you check it on a regular basis, maybe once in a day, so that, see, this email address, contact number, etc. are provided for correspondence. By correspondence, I mean if they want to forward any information to you, if they want you to know about something, they'd be corresponding through your email or your contact number, right? So even the contact number should be the one which is the permanent one, right, which you have not changed since the past few years. So this information is an part of the resume, and it's the beginning part. Where should this information go? This information should go to the top of the page, something like this. Apart from this information, you can also have a passport size photograph, a professional, not a selfie, please, not a selfie, a professional passport size photographs, also either to the left or the right of the page, either to the left or the right of the page. You can have a professional photograph. Do not take up photograph, no, do not try and crop it into a passport size photograph from where you have been to some event, you have attended some event, family function. That's very different, and professional is very different, right? There are two different ends. So make sure you have a professional photograph attached over here. After your personal information, immediately after it comes your objective, the career objective, or the professional objective. This element is optional, though it is optional, but if written, it creates a good impression. It actually connects you directly with the job for which you are applying. Let's say I want to work as a software developer. Now, what should be your career objective? Your career objective would be developing yourself in the field of software development. Moreover, taking the organization to greater heights from where it is. And the career objective, avoid pronouns like I and my. My career objective. You don't write that. You write a computer enthusiast who's willing to explore the fields of computer software development, resulting in individual overall development and taking the organization to greater heights. This could be one of the examples. It's not the only one. Remember? Now, you cannot beat around the bush. Remember, whenever we are writing any technical document, we have always repeated that you have to be precise, clear, to the point. Now, I cannot be going around things. I cannot be moving here and there. Right? Technical documents means precision. Technical documents means you are supposed to be very, very careful about what you write and very clear about what you write. So I cannot say, I am enthusiastic, or an enthusiastic individual, also interested in this, also interested in that. Not like that. A straightforward statement to be coming up, and very clear and precise information, but avoid usage of pronouns such as I and my. If you see, this is a very simple example to obtain an entry level human resources position. It's an application for an HR position. Do not worry, you'll find very beautiful examples of writing career objectives. If you search on internet, right, you will be able to find a few of them. But if you see, there is no usage of I and my as a pronoun. It's just to obtain an human resource, entry level human resource position. You can say an enthusiastic individual, who is willing to dive into or willing to explore different aspects of software development. That's it. One or two statements, not more, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Which one of the following is not included in personal information? Out of the four options given, it's a reconnector for us. Very quick, very fast, and excellent answers. Gender. Why do not include your gender in your personal information? One, we can get the gender from the name, we can assume it. Two, you will have a photograph. That is why that passport size photograph is a must. Next would come your educational qualification. Now, when you mention your bachelor's, you don't write B in CE, computer engineering, the short forms or the acronyms that we use. You write Bachelor of Engineering in Computer or Bachelors of Computer Engineering. Write the full thing. Right? One. Two, you have to write the degrees that you have achieved in the reverse chronological order. Reverse order means your engineering, the bachelor degree first, then the 10th, then then the 12th, then the 10th. In case you have done diploma, so it would be degree, then diploma, then 10th. Right? So it is but obvious. Why this reverse chronology? If you have got a bachelor degree, it is obvious you have taken your 10th, 12th, or diploma. Why do we need to mention 10th, 12th, and diploma? Is some of us might have done 10th and 12th, some of us might have done 10th and diploma. Right? That's why we mentioned that information. The relevance of the information is like that. So now in your case, right now, when you will have to prepare your resume, what will you do? You have not completed any degree. You are in between. You are in the process of getting your degree. You are still in the process. You have not achieved your degree. So in your case, what you need to do is, you've already appeared for semester 2. Right? So the first information, this information, if you put it into tabular form, it looks better. You can also write it in points. So what you will do is, you'll write Bachelor of Computer Engineering, semester 3, and in the column for result, you will write you are pursuing. Pursuing means you are right now continuing with it. Semester 2 and the result that you have got. Either in a form of a grade, either in the form of a percentage, percentile, CGPI is whatever you have got, you have to mention. Then semester 1, then 12th, then 10th. In case you have done diploma, semester 3 pursuing, semester 2, semester 1, diploma, and 10th. That's how you will write it. Reverse chronological order. This is an example. See, here I have mentioned it in the form of a bulleted point. You can also use a tabular point. Now, if you have got two, decide one. You cannot have both together. You have to decide on one. I would suggest you do the table form. It would look better. Right? I'd also show you certain formats. Do not worry towards the end of it. Now your work experience. Now, this will come when you have already worked somewhere, or in case you have done an internship program, you have gone through some internship internship program somewhere. Here you have to consider these things. You can consider into your work experience. You have done full time or part time jobs somewhere. You were self employed. Maybe your father has a business and you were helping out, or you are still helping out at the business. You have done some volunteer work with some NGOs. You have done practicals. You have worked in the field and cooperative education. Now, what we consider over here would be things that you can prove, for which you can have supporting documents. Remember, whenever we are dealing with technical fields and technical writing, even in the report, right, even in letters, we have seen that we need supporting documentation. If I am writing a complaint to somebody, I need to tell him that this is the order number or this is the receipt number, right? So here as well, you have to mention things where you can support the information with a documentation, a proper document. You have to hear what information do you need to include. You need to include your job title. So you can say I was a junior researcher. The dates of employment, till from which date to which date you have been employed, the name of the company, the city and the state, important job activities and responsibilities. Now, what kind of things did you do and what responsibilities you carried out? Maybe you were the team leader for a project for that internship program. Maybe some of you might have got funding from government. That also you can mention here. You did a government project or you worked with few people for work experience. Here you should use bullet points, and if you are employed right now, you are still working, you have to use present tense. And if you have completed, or you are now, like you did it for the summer vacation 2 months, now you are not continuing, then you will use past tense. Remember, every time you apply for a job, you have to tailor your resume. Why tailor? Even if we have or we look similar, our sizes are different. Everybody cannot wear the same numbered shirt or t-shirt. Let's say even the size would vary a little from company to company, from brand to brand. Similarly, how can you have the same resume for three different people or three different job applications or three different positions? That is why remember to tailor. Tailor means appropriately cut and stitch. By cut and stitch, we mean over here is what skills do you want to highlight? See, if I am supposed to work, let's say I'll take my example in the academics. I want to work as a professor. There I cannot mention that I know I cook very delicious dishes. My family does not have to go to the restaurant. That skill of mine is of no use. Even if I do not cook, what is the university supposed to do with it? Even if the family has to eat outside every day, what is the university supposed to do with it? Just an example, right? Let's say I drive a four-wheeler, but I'm a professor. What if I drive? Right? You drive very good, you can drive yourself to the university, but the university does not require your driving skills. It requires your teaching skills. Can you operate the laptop? Can you use a projector? Are you confident when you stand in front of 60 people to speak? Are you well versed with the topics that you are going to teach, the subject that you are going to teach? Are you qualified for it? That is why tailor the skills. Tailor the skills according to the requirement. So every time you submit your resume, there has to be some update into it. Yes, if the position is same, every time if I'm applying for a professor's job, I don't need to tailor it. I just need to update it. Let's say When I got employed, maybe in the year 2012, I was still pursuing some of my degrees, right? Some of us might do a master degree, but along with the job. So what do you do is you update your resume. Maybe let's say you start working after 2022, in the year 2022. You graduate with good marks, you get a campus placement, you are placed, but you want to pursue your masters. So along with your job, part-time job or maybe full-time job and a part-time masters that you are doing, 2 years, in the year 2024 you might get a master's and you want to apply elsewhere. There you cannot just write that you have got a bachelor's degree. What did you do for 2 years apart from job? Did you upgrade your skills? You to get yourself qualified further? So you mention it there. That's why tailoring, right? So you cannot be submitting the same resume every time. You have to tailor it, you have to update it. Let's say you don't do a master degree but you have taken some certification program, a authorized, a valid certification program. Let's say you have taken, maybe let's say from an open university you have taken a degree certification, or you have taken a diploma certification. Universities like IGNU and like Indira Gandhi Open University and Ambedkar Open University do provide certifications, right? So if you have taken that, you upgrade it. Remember, as I said, in this technical world or in this workplace situations, you cannot remain stagnant. You have to upgrade yourself. 1 year I am like, I have studied a lot, I need a break. How much break can you take? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? You cannot take break for years. If you take break for years, one thing, your knowledge will rust. Two, you become outdated soon, right? One, your knowledge rusts, you become outdated soon. That is why especially we have mentioned the word over here, that you're supposed to tailor the skills and experiences. That is, you have to cut and stitch properly, join properly at places. Right? This is one example of a bulleted point method. And you can see experience as a human research from June. Remember dates, no digits, just date. Now, if this is the other experience, you can note that as well. The present experience is of a sales associate. This is one example. Then achievement, honors, and activities. Again, reverse chronology. If you have attained certain honors or you made achievements in your life, including certifications, fellowships, awards that differentiate you from the rest, you can mention it in your resume. These activities that you mention over here show that the applicant or the person who is applying is a dynamic and an energetic person. You not only stayed in the field of your education, but you explored other stuff as well. Right? You must be doing so. Why? Today's world is a world of multitasking, multiple branches, multiple offices, multiple work at the same time. So you cannot just remain confined to your field only. You must go beyond, you must explore beyond. Right? Remember not to use any abbreviations or acronyms. Write full names if possible. Emphasize places where you shone brightly among the crowd, especially your leadership roles. This is an example again, the Golden Key Honor Society. There are different examples. Let's say you won a national level competition, or maybe you stood first in semester one in your entire branch. So that you can mention over here. So is the statement true or false? In educational qualification, most recent degree is listed last. Is the statement true or false? Excellent. It's false. You people remember quite well that you have to write a reverse chronology. So the most recent degree first and then the rest in reverse order. References. This section is actually the last part of the resume. Here you need to first take the person's name whom you are writing as a reference. He or she should know. And these are the potential people who could give a word for you. Give a word for you is, let's say I'm employing somebody from some organization wants to change. So how will I know whether the person works well or not? I trust the resume, but I want to cross verify before I offer the person a job. So I call the previous employer. This is where the referencing comes. I call the previous employer and I just talk that this person wants is changing a job, has given an interview, and want to know a little about the person, how he or she has worked in your organization. Try to know from the horse's mouth. And that's a phrase. The horse's mouth means directly from the person under whom you have worked. See, everybody will speak good about themselves. Everybody will speak good about themselves. How do I actually know that you have done a good job or not? I would know it from this part, from the references. When I talk to somebody, if you have good, you have been good throughout. People will speak good only, right? So, whosoever's name that you are mentioning in the resume, you should always first take the person's permission and then mention the name. Now, what are the do's and don'ts? Remember the days when resumes used to be very thick and long are gone. They are obsolete now. 1.5 page is the maximum. Keep the resume easy to read. Use bulleted points or tables wherever necessary. Use short and concise sentences and use action verbs. Do not use pronouns such as I, me, and my. Do not stuff your resume with non essential information. Why? Because over information would create confusion. Do not make any misrepresentations. Do not say that actually I stood second, but we don't get a certification for the second position. See, people who are in the field are quite aware about the kinds of activities that are happening in your field. Right? So you don't tell that. Usually first, second, and third, like whatever competitions are held, first, second, and third rankers do get a certification, even if it is a group task. You also get an individual certificate which says that you were part of the group and the group stood first or second or third. Right? There are proofs, there are ways of finding out. As I said, each and every organization would have their own documentation. Right? If you don't inform, the person might find the information by calling the other organization. They would have reports. Remember, after events take place, there would be reports written. Right? So do not write information which is misleading. It will lead to chaos and it would create a very bad impression. Do not inform people about your height, your weight, or your marital status. See, they are not employing a gym trainer. Even if the gym trainer is 50 kgs of weight, their requirement is of the person's expertise in the field and not with the person's personal informations like the height and weight or even the marital status. Right? Now, cover letter. Cover letters are actually accompanied a resume. The structure or the format of the cover letter is similar to the business letters that we write, the left aligned part. It is actually a method of convincing the employer that you are one of the best candidates and why you are one of the best. Secondly, why should you be considered for an interview? And thirdly, what understanding do you have? What understanding do you have for the position for which you are applying? Remember the sender's address, your information, the current date. See, it's similar to what we are writing. But what is very important to remember is never use the salutation to whom it may concern. To whom it may concern, never use it in your cover letter. It should include at least 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, where did you get the information for the job for which you are applying? Paragraph 2, what do you have to offer? Here is like paragraph 2 is the main crux. It's actually the part where you are going to showcase your skills. And paragraph 3, how would you be available, or how can you and the employer connect or get in contact with each other? Do not forget the signature part. Remember your name and the information in signing it to authenticate. And secondly, the enclosure. Remember, enclosure means when you are attaching something. Enclosures mean you are attaching something. That is your resume along with the cover letter. Okay, we have a reconnector. A cover letter should include at least dash paragraphs. How many? You can easily answer by recollecting the session we had for letters. Excellent, 3 paragraphs. Excellent work. This is a cover letter, an example. This is an example of a cover letter, one of the examples. Right, you may find many. So this is how letter writing and a cover letter is a must that needs to be together. You know, they accompany each other in case when you draft a letter and you apply for a job. Do we have any doubts? Great. We don't have any doubts, so we have our quiz with us now. This is the link of the quiz. You may start attempting your quiz now. I can see 40 of you have already submitted the quiz. We'll wait a few minutes for the rest of the class to complete before we move ahead. Well done. I can see everybody has completed the quiz part. Now, a very important thing to remember. I hope you recollect when we had our orientation, one of our assignments, apart from book review, is a resume. Apart from book review, is a resume. Right? So, what you need to do is, you're supposed to prepare your own resume. So resume will not be preparing a handwritten resume. Book review is handwritten, but resume you are supposed to prepare a digital copy of it because you'll insert your photograph and things like that, along with a cover letter. Now, what you can do is you can draft a cover letter for any position of your choice, from your field or apart from your field. But better if you do it from your field. You have to draft a cover letter and a resume. Remember, both of them should be drafted digitally and with proper structure as mentioned. In case of resume, what you can do is, I'll give you a very quick idea. Everybody wants my resume should look different. How do I do that? There are a variety of templates that are available online, or if you are using the latest version of Microsoft Office itself gives you a template for cover letter as well as resumes. What I'll do is, you do not worry, you are not supposed to immediately submit it. You are supposed to submit it on the 16th of August. 15 days approximately time is what I'm giving to you, right? Supposed to submit your cover letter and your resume by the 16th of August. Do not worry. How do you submit it? You'll be getting, or you can look into your lab batches. I'll be making one folder for resume. You can submit it there. Your cover letter and your resume. You may make a subfolder of your own name, and within that you can attach or you can upload your cover letter and your resume. You are free to follow any available self-made or available templates which are there on internet, or if you are using Word, you'll have or you'll find certain templates. I'll be adding a few examples in our e-content portal. You can use that, or you are free to use whatever you find comfortable, but it should be formal in nature. What I will also do is the objective statement. I'll be putting up a few objective statements. You can write something similar. The statements which I'll be putting up are samples. Okay, samples that can help you. So by the 15th or maybe the 16th of August, what you can do is, 15th August is a national holiday, right? So by 16th of August, what you can do is you can try make your resume and upload it in the folder. Do not worry, I'll be uploading a sample resume as well. 2 or 3 samples, 2-3 formats, and a few statements for objective. A few statements for objective. Right? What objective should I have? Right? So that you may check by the weekend, I'll be uploading. Secondly, for all the 3 batches, I have uploaded the next kind of letter. You have already done inquiry letters, order letters have been put up. Moreover, I have also uploaded complaint letters and adjustment letters. Now, all these letters and all you are supposed to finish by the 20th of August. I have uploaded it. You can start doing at your pace. By 20th, you are supposed to complete these things. One letter per week is what uh, the arrangement is. Right? So you can have a look at it, and if you have time, you can finish it earlier. If not, you can try and complete it by the 20th of August. That's how we will work. Now, there were a few queries about the book review. Do not worry. I have to prepare because you just don't have to write and submit the book review. You also have to talk about it in the lab sessions. So I'm supposed to prepare a schedule of it. I'll be helping you with the schedule after the 31st of this month. In case due to any reason you have not been able to complete your book review, kindly inform me so that we can, or I can schedule it in that appropriate manner, so that we don't waste our time in the lab asking the questions there and then. In case you require a little more time, by little time I can give you 1 week's time more, not more than that. So 7 8 more days, that is maybe not in the first week of August, we can do our book reviews in the second week of August. In case there is a situation like that where you have not been able to complete it, kindly inform me at the earliest. So inform me before the 31st of this month, before I prepare the schedule, right, to avoid confusion. You can talk to the your classmates, your students of the same batch, and the whole batch can let me know whether you require 1 more week or not, right? So inform me in the lab sessions that we have in this week whether you require 1 more week for the book review, or is it fine in the next week itself, right? Either ways, whatever you tell me, you can let me know about it. So let's have the attendance for the day. Enrollment number 2, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, 17, 19, 24, 25, 26, 29, 31, 34, 35, 38, 4, 47, 49, 50, 51, 53, 54, 56, 58, 65, 67, 68, 69, 72, 23, 82, 85, 89, 91, 96, 100, 101, 102, 103, 106, 108, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 125, 126, 131, 134, and 144. Everyone is present. Absent numbers, there are, I think, two people who are absent. 38 and 126. In case you have any doubts regarding the resume, please wait till this Saturday. You'll be getting the formats and everything by Saturday at the earliest. And by the time you can explore on your own, and I'll be uploading the PPT for today. Remember, one last instruction. Tomorrow we have unit test for unit number 2. We will have a quick revision the way we had for unit 1. We'll have first a quick revision of the topics of unit number 2, and then we'll have a unit test for it. So kindly prepare for the same. The material for unit 2 has already been uploaded in the e-content. Only resume writing is pending, that I'll be finishing right after this class. Within 5-7 minutes, I'll be uploading this PPT as well for your reference. Fine class. Do prepare well. Thank you. Have a nice day.